There you go. I can see you now. Boom. Right, and we're recording. Welcome to the Roto Joe's Fantasy Football Podcast. It has been a few weeks. Summer has been hectic. Everyone's adults, but we're back. Hopefully for real more consistently. Lots of life, but we'll be good. So let's just kick it off real fast. Aaron Rodgers, lots of noise about the Jets. Do we think through these early reports of training camp that he's going to be a huge positive, a negative, or neutral?
Oh, I mean, clearly a huge positive. I think he played through an injury latter part of last season. I think he was kind of getting to a point where he was slightly uninspired by, what Green Bay had put around him. Where he's going in these drafts, I think it's a potential huge value. I mean, you think about it, you're talking quarterback 2 territory in Superflex. You're talking about punting in one quarterback leagues and grabbing him. And I think I feel good at both spots.
Yeah, I have a lot of Aaron Rodgers in underdog 1 and 2 quarterback. Going around quarterback 16, kind of Kirk Cousins-y territory. Really, same territory he went the last 3 years when people thought that he was declining that first time and he won a couple MVPs. I think the guy's maybe a sneaky MVP candidate this year just with the fact that they have such a loaded wide receiver room. Dalvin Cook probably ends up there. That just offense is loaded. And the defense is good. I think they're going to be electric this year. Sad that New England plays in that division.
I think it's one of those things where he's not the type of guy who's going to go run. So I think his life expectancy is far greater than most people are expecting.
Yeah, he could be I don't want to say Tom Brady. I don't think he plays till 45. But he could be a 42, 43-year-old quarterback and be good.
Yeah, he could. I think it's probably a 2-year max and one if this year goes bad for some reason. But
yeah, I think he for sure does 2 years.
I think 2. Yeah. But if this year goes to shit and some things, get out of hand, I could see him saying fuck it after this year.
Yeah. All right. Recently in the news, lots about running backs. So I'm going to get a quick synopsis in. We'll talk about it a lot here. So the thing that started this all off, big conversation about running backs around the franchise tag date. Tony Pollard signed the tag. Saquon Barkley actually got a larger 1-year deal than he would have gotten playing on the tag, which is not super normal. So that was actually not a bad sign, but he still only is getting $11 million a year. You have guys like Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette on the free agency list. They're not getting paid. You have guys like CMC making $14, $15 a year, and that's it. Huge discussion about the underpayment of these guys. Josh Jacobs getting a tag and not getting an extension. Then to piggyback, so we have all these running backs meeting and discussing this pay issue. Different remedies are brought up, potentially changing the CBA. Well, then Jim Irsay fires a tweet out about that being bad faith in negotiations instead of not saying anything. Well, the best player on the Colts right now is Jonathan Taylor, running back, who wants an extension soon. He's extension eligible next year.
No, he's eligible right now.
He's right now? Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's okay. So he's extension eligible right now. He has demanded a trade. And now we're going to get into another interesting situation. What's the trade value of JT? He's on his rookie deal, but he wants an extension. He's one of the best 5 running backs in the league. I don't think that's disputable. He's young. All the things that we're hypothetically saying would make him worth it to be paid, other than not having an absolute shitload of college carries, has been met.
Right.
What happens?
Trade value, in my opinion, is pretty low. And here's why. A team is not going to go out there and give up. Irsay, I'm a pretty well-documented Irsay hater. He's a fucking dipshit. But people are not going to go out there and give out multiple first-round picks for a guy that they're then going to have to turn around and pay a bunch of money to. So I think actual trade value is pretty low, if even any, because it's hard to imagine. Because here you'd have to work out a contract before the trade, or else you're getting a 1-year rental, right? It's unfortunate the way running backs are paid in the NFL, but at the same point, I've thought a lot about this. Like, yes, it does suck, but here's the thing: is they really fucking decline 27, 28, 29 years old. It's not like a quarterback who Aaron Rodgers is going to go out and play at a high level at 39 years old. Tom Brady damn near had an MVP season at 42. It's a different position. And yes, I know it's the nature of the situation. Those guys take a lot more hits. It's more physical contact. I get it, but it is what it is. You don't want to commit all this money over all this time to a guy you almost can guarantee in his late 20s is not going to be it anymore. I
guess I have two questions and a solution to the running back problem. One question is, how are we going to what if Austin Eckler just stays good for the next 7 years, but for the last 4, he's a satellite. He's J.D. McKissick on steroids. What do you pay that guy? 100 carries a year and 100 catches a year, probably. What do you pay that guy? A lot. He's a receiver. And he probably is pretty durable. What about an Alvin Kamara? Same role. What about a Jahmyr Gibbs in, a few years, 6, 7, 8 years? Like, I'm wondering if maybe the solution has already been baked in, but it just hasn't cycled quick enough. CMC's kind of the first / trend-setting one of that archetype, and he got a lot of carries as a young player. So we're really yet to see how that gets valued. I think that's probably actually the solution, and it's not a huge deal. My second comment is, for years, running backs were able to play till 32 to 34, but they were also way bigger. And so I'm wondering if maybe we get a little return to that stylistically at the position, or we don't. It's just that we never see that again, except for your Derrick Henrys and your Marshawn Lynch types. To fix the problem, I really think that you just, next CBA, and I don't know how feasible this is, I'm not a CBA expert, just make it so that there's no rookie scale for running backs, or take away the rookie scale in general. But no rookie scale for running backs makes that they can get paid earlier. And I think that some players would. I don't know how that would go over. I just don't.
I think my solution to that is the same thought as yours. You'd hate to see the lack of a rookie scale, because, God, you remember when Sam Bradford got like 70 fucking million and he never played a down of football, and then he was hurt all the time. So maybe no rookie scale isn't the thing, but you shorten the contracts of a rookie running back, like the potential, and remove the possibility of a franchise tag.
Yeah.
Since their career is so short, because here's how it goes. I'm going to tell you right now, Jonathan Taylor's not getting traded. I don't care what he says or what he does. It's not. No one's going to dump that kind of value and then pay him, and then, you know what I mean, run the risk of an injury or whatever. It'd have to be like a Miami, Kansas City, Buffalo type of situation for any of those guys to even make it halfway feasible. So he's not going to get traded. I guarantee he gets franchise tagged in the offseason, and then here we are again in a year. Does he hold out? Does he not? It'd be really dumb, for any of these guys to hold out, because we saw what happened with Le'Veon Bell. Saquon figured it out. I think Josh Jacobs eventually does the same thing as well. It's just probably not the move.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Taylor will be a Colt for at least one more year, and maybe a tag and trade next year.
Yeah. Give me one landing spot for Jonathan Taylor, fantasy land, one spot this year he could go and explode. Even more than he did 2 years ago.
Buffalo.
Buffalo's one, Kansas City's one. Just put them on a high-powered offense. Any of them.
Miami. Love to see it in Miami.
I saw that on Twitter. The Miami spot, dude, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I don't
camp
think he
battle.
goes to. I don't think he goes to Philly. And then you look around, and I took a look at like a broad overview of like running backs. I could see like maybe the Commanders.
Yeah, with Robinson and Gibson as a combo, yeah.
There's just only so many places that you look at, like you see either like a young guy or a guy that's already paid. There's one or the other. You know what I mean? Jonathan Taylor could go to 25 other teams and make them better, but are they going to waste, that time with that young guy or that time that they got left on that aging veteran? I don't know.
Yeah. All right, training camp battles. We're heavy into the training camp season that's just starting out. There's a lot of things left to be determined. Go right into it. The number one battle I think everyone has their eye on is the San Francisco quarterback situation. You have Brock Purdy versus Darnold versus Lance. I'll take this one to start. Purdy, I think, has won it. I don't really think it's all that close. This is a guy in 9 games that saw 13 passing touchdowns, 7-week stretch of quarterback 14-plus weekly finishes, a lot of touchdowns, not a lot of yards. I don't think Purdy's excellent. I don't think he's a world beater, but I think he's what Kyle wants. Sam Darnold, I think, is the quarterback, too. He's a guy with a lot of similar features, can be accurate when he's making good decisions, not a good pusher of the ball down the field. He can run a little bit, a little athletic, decent timing. He's a smart player. He's a smart guy. And then Lance is just in the doghouse so deep, I don't think he ever gets out. I think the guy from the start was a bad pick. You got a D2 cat that's only played 1 season in D2, and you're going to make him jump, or not D2, but Division 1 AA, and you're going to make him have to jump up to the NFL on a really good team. I think he'll get traded for like a couple thirds or something.
I got a different take on. I mean, I agree with the rankings there. I think Purdy's got that Joe Burrow type of swagger too, right? Like he's great value, Joe Burrow.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that has to do with Shanahan. Don't get me wrong. You take him and you put him on the Falcons, he's going to be no better than Mariota, right? But here's the thing: is I think San Francisco, like, their butt is so hurt over as many quarterback injuries as they've had over the past few years. I think they probably want to trade Trey Lance, but I don't think that they're ready to roll into the season with 2 quarterbacks and have a repeat of what happened. Now, here's the deal. I'm no offensive coordinator, right? Whatever system they work on offense works really well, but man, they cannot keep a quarterback healthy to save their life. So I think that's part of the reason, because, part of the reason we haven't seen Trey Lance moved yet. Because I know for a fact, I've read that Atlanta picked up the phone. I think that there was a couple other teams that made that call. And if you couldn't tell me if they weren't worried about an injury, they wouldn't have taken some kind of return over just letting him walk in a year or two.
Yep. What a mess. That guy was worth 3 first-rounders. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on up north, the Minnesota running back room. This is a fun one. Dwayne McBride versus Tyson Chandler versus Madison. McBride's the long-term winner. Ty Chandler's a small guy. He ran a 4.38 at the combine. That's about the real notable thing about him. Madison is a grinder, jag type of guy, nothing special. Dwayne McBride might be that too, but he's way younger, a little bigger, a little more power, and I think he's a little faster based off film. But I honestly think that the Vikings are going to be a top 7, top 6 passing offense in terms of attempts, volume, might be top 5. And I really think this run game is just going to be for when there's a 3-down defense and you need to check into something. I don't think any of the 3 are going to be involved so much that they're anything more than an RB2. But if you can get Dwayne McBride late in drafts, or even take a swing on like a Tyson Chandler, might come up with some real value. Madison's going around RB 20 to 24. I've seen him all the way up to like 15, 16, 17 in some drafts. Don't like that at all. I'm out all the way on that price. He's a guy that's never had real success in the NFL. Yeah, not a fun situation here. None of these guys are great, but McBride would be my pick to win.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with that too. I think in Dynasty you want to acquire McBride now.
Yep.
I think I'm one of those people that I think a contract tells a story. And while they paid Madison, roughly Gus Edwards money,
Mm-hmm.
I believe there was an out after year one. So I look a little bit deeper into those type of situations to, kind of gain some value on really how they feel about the player. I think Madison's a walking dumpster. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, he had a couple flashy plays here and there throughout his career, but he's already 27,
25.
25. So already 25 years old. Really, his career average is sub 4 yards a carry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like 3.7.
3.7. 3.7 yards a carry. Just nothing really seems that special about him. And fantasy Twitter just absolutely loved the guy the second that there was even talks of getting rid of Dalvin Cook. I don't know why he's never really came in and wowed anybody. So yeah, I'm completely out on Madison at cost. I don't think I'm way out on him at cost. Tyson Chandler, I think he's been in the league a year or two. Honestly, didn't even know who the guy was before this offseason. I'm definitely going for McBride if I can acquire him in Dynasty now. That's the time. You got to get before he has a breakout game or before anyone can tell that he's good, because I think he is too. And I think a lot of drafts he went undrafted. So you can really sneak in there with some kind of relative value and sneak away a potential large upside guy later on.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think I've done that a couple drafts. I've had a lot of late Dwayne McBride. Okay, this is a big one. The Miami Dolphins running back room. Devin Achane versus Raheem Mostert versus Jeff Wilson. I think we're safe from Dalvin Cook. Start with Achane.
I think we are.
Achane's a third-round pick out of A&M, a 4'3", 240 guy. He weighs 188 pounds. I think on most teams I would not love that. But Mike McDaniels knows how to use a guy like that. He's a weapon around a bunch of other weapons. I mean, when the fucking running back is the slowest of your three skill position starters, wide receiver, running back, and the guy runs a 4.32 and was an All-American 100-meter dash sprinter, you take that. I think Achane's going to be a nightmare to match up with. He's going to at least get targeted quite a bit. I don't know how great of a receiver he is out of the back, but he'll get the targets with Tua. Mostert, 31 years old. He's hurt quite a bit. Not really huge on him. Jeff Wilson could sneak in there and start. Like, that might be their starter. Wouldn't shock me. Achane, I think, has the most – it won't be the most volume week to week, but he'll have the most plays that will get the most potential points each week out of that running back group.
So the more I've thought about this, and here's kind of where I stand with it, I think the three of them have very similar playing styles. I think Achane can catch the ball a little bit better than the other two. I don't think any one of the three really stand out to me, but I will say this. I think Achane's probably going to be the one that doesn't end up injured by week. And I think he gets a very good target share out of the backfield, because I know Tua taking all them hits, getting concussions. If their OC or quarterback coach had any kind of a fucking sense, he'd be like, get that goddamn ball out to somebody. Yep. So I think that plays really well for the Devin Achane truthers out there. I like him, but I don't love him. That's kind of where I'm at.
I don't love any of that group, but I like that group. So
yeah. And Mike McDaniels is every bit as good as Kyle Shanahan, because he's been Kyle Shanahan's boy for ever. I mean, they go back through Atlanta, through Cleveland, through Houston together. So I like what Mike McDaniel can do to that running back room. If I had to pick one, it's probably going to be a Kane, just for lack of – he's probably going to be the one that stays healthy all year.
Yep, I agree.
That's my thing.
Washington Commanders quarterback room. We have Howell versus Brissett. I will see that the noise out of camp has always been that Howell's going to be the starter. I swear that Brissett might end up being that guy after week 8, week 9. Sam Howell's not for sure great. We don't know what he is.
We don't know what he is.
Yeah, we don't really know. He might be really good. He was at one point the top quarterback in last year's draft class until North Carolina sputtered and he was small and until things happened. But we don't know. We just don't know anything there. So I think that's one to keep an eye on. I don't have a lot of information because I think Howell is going to be the starter week 1. But I think that's one to keep an eye on if Brissett plays well in camp. They have some good weapons out there. That's a team that Brissett could probably do well with.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Howell. I think Howell is a guy. I think, I have a decent amount of Howell as a quarterback 3 option in some super flex leagues. I like him over Ritter, Baker Mayfield, Mac Jones, really, Jimmy G. I like him over all 4 of those guys. So I don't, and you're right, we don't know, but we gotta assume he's got good weapons. Offensive line isn't terrible. Running back situation's kind of shitty, but that is what it is. Yeah, we just really don't know. He played 1 game last year, looked halfway decent at times, but also not. So that one's a real toss-up. I mean, I think Sam Howell is the guy, but you're right, Jacoby Brissett could sneak in there. And Jacoby Brissett isn't a game changer by any means. He's honestly, if a franchise would have committed to Jacoby at some point, he might be in the same conversation as, like a shittier Jimmy G, right? Like he wasn't terrible at any point. Wasn't terrible, wasn't good.
He was Jimmy G's backup. Yep. All right, New York Giants wide receiver 1, Isaiah Hodgins versus Darius Slayton versus Paris Campbell versus Sterling Shepard. I think this one's an easy one too. It sounds real crowded. Darius Slayton, not even close. Shepard would have been the guy 4 years ago, but he's 30 now on the wrong side of an Achilles tear. Campbell is not going to stay healthy, probably. If you get volume, he won't. Hodgins is more Travis Fulgham than Amon-Ra, I think. Just no one was there in that room last year at that time. So, someone had to catch these passes.
Right.
Slayton's actually good. 4.39 speed. He's only missed 5 games in 4 years. He's kind of Christian Kirksey to me. Like has a little bit of Christian Kirk to him. First 4 or 5 years was okay. Now is jumping in a little differently to this spot of production, but jumping into a spot where he has a bunch of potential production in front of him. Don't think it's unheard of that he's like a top 36 wide receiver, 40 wide receiver at the end of the year, going all the way down wide receiver 70 to 80. So yeah. I think, and he has a solidified roster spot. There's nothing funky that's going to happen to him between now and then other than an injury. So Slayton's my guy out of those 4. It's again not close in this battle.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy decision there, in my opinion. I mean, Sterling Shepard, he's been a guy, but you're right. He's aging. He's coming off some pretty bad injuries. You look at their wide receiver room, man, and to me, I just see a bunch of fucking mid. I mean, I thought about this when you sent me this. I think the last true alpha dude they had was Odell, and before that it was Plaxico Burress. And outside of those guys, they haven't had one of those dudes in the last 10 years.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I feel like their room is better than the Chiefs' room.
Sadly, it is, and everybody wants a piece of the Chiefs' room. But honestly, I think Saquon and Darren Waller are going to lead targets over all those guys, but I do think you're right in the sense that Slayton's been the dude, though. Like, and I just think it's kind of Brandon Cooks-ish that he's just kind of gone under the radar for so long. But I think I took him as the very last pick in Scott Fishbowl, and I was happy as hell to do that.
Yeah, he did not fall that far in mine. Okay, that was a great segue. Kansas City wide receiver room. MVS versus Kadarius Toney versus Sky Moore versus Rashee Rice versus Richie James. MVS.
You're forgetting someone. Hold on.
Oh, I don't give a fuck about Justin Ross. I don't give a fuck about that guy. That guy's not going to stay healthy.
I seen a nasty route on the training camp.
Hey, you can do this whole fall for the highlights thing. I told you, I'm done.
I'm just saying.
That guy year was 2018. I was in high school when he was good last. That's it.
Well,
that's all. You can't be good when I was in high school last and then expect me to be like, oh, yeah, that guy, he's good.
He shook the defender so fucking hard he could dry his hands before he caught the ball. That was...
Yeah, but if that knee blows out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right, so now the big boys in the room. The big boys in that room. MVS, best ball target. You're not going to predict his good weeks.
No.
Kadarius Toney is the most talented player in the room. I think if he played a full 17, he's a top 24 receiver. The dude is nasty. But
I think he is too.
He's a guy that his athleticism is what is leading to him getting hurt. He's cutting. He's moving so hard and so well that it is literally popping his knee out of place.
And his lack of hamstrings is also...
Yeah, from doing shit like that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean,
yeah, like it's all that. Yeah, so I don't think he stays healthy. I really like him. Sky Moore is a gadget slot guy. He might be like a better version of Rondale Moore. It's funny to have the last name. Not going to play the slot role over Travis full time. Not kicking Travis Kelce out of the slot role there. Rashee Rice, I think he plays like a McCole Hardman role. He's a big 4-5. He reminds me actually a little bit of maybe a Sammy Watkins-like type of player. Big, athletic, decent after the catch. If he stays healthy, yeah. Like I think that's realistic.
Yeah.
Richie
like
James,
later career Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Kansas City Sammy Watkins, actually, especially. Richie James Jr., I think this is the guy in a non-Tony situation. He had sneaky production last year in New York, 700 receiving yards. Is he great? No. He's good, and he's reliable-ish. And really, I don't think any of these guys are going to finish in the top 30.
I don't either. And it's ridiculous to think this. Think about this. Think about how shitty the Chiefs wide receiver room is. Think about how also not very good their running back room is. And they just won the fucking Super Bowl with those guys.
The running back room is good. Pacheco and McKinnon are a better duo than I think you probably give them credit to.
So here's the deal. I saw a stat. Pacheco's best finish was running back 15 at any point last
year. Yeah, he was a rookie on a pass-heavy team. We'll see how that goes.
Now, McKinnon, I got a shitload of McKinnon. Real late, and I love it.
Yeah, McKinnon. There's a lot to be had late with him. He's just a guy that I guess people don't. People are just asleep on him. Deneric Prince isn't a dude. So, all right, last battle. We have the Philly running back room. Swift versus Gainwell versus Penny. Swift. Facts of the matter. Swift has never ran for more than 600 yards in the NFL season. Has yet to score more than 4 receiving touchdowns in a single season or 8 rushing touchdowns. And he's gotten outplayed by multiple just-a-guy type running backs over a 2-staff duration. Other fact, Swift is an elite satellite back. 40-plus receptions and 13-14 over his career is really crazy. The last fact is Hurts doesn't check down. The guy's going to get playing time. He's not going to be great. Penny, that's the guy you want. If he's healthy, that's baby Nick Chubb. Now, the if is a huge if. It's a magnificently huge if. I don't think he stays healthy, but he's averaged 6-plus yards a carry his last 2 years. insane. And the way Philly runs their offense, you actually want the guy that's getting those like grinder back carries, those early down, 1st and 10 type carries, because they're going to have value in that offense specifically. Gainwell, just a guy.
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you. I think people haven't let go of the DeAndre Swift hype of 2022, right? And he's still going well before Rashad Penny, just based off a name alone, and you don't really understand it because what has he really done? He was literally traded for almost nothing to be replaced by a guy that is the same archetype that he is, just better. And it's crazy. There's a work ethic thing there, I think. I personally am completely out on Swift at cost. I'm with you. I'd rather wait 3-4 rounds later, take Rashad Penny, because I don't know. I know he's injured a lot, but I don't know if people really realize how good he is when he's not.
I think there's a disconnect there. I think people don't really.
People just think, oh, Rashad Penny injury. Sure, that's a fair take, but goddamn, I mean, the guy's explosive. He's every bit as explosive as he's like an older Jonathan Taylor, because Jonathan Taylor, his big year, he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't getting 7 yards a carry. You know what I mean? He was blasting it a few times a game to the fucking house. I watched a lot of that because I had him that year in fantasy, and I, paid a lot of. He was grinding, and then boom, and that's kind of the same type of guy we're talking.
Yeah, Nick Chubb.
Yeah, that's the same. We're talking the same group of guys, and I'd rather wait till round 10, 11, and take Rashad Penny and just hope he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, not a huge Swift guy. All right, so we're gonna end off here. Talk about value busting running backs. I've got 4, but I've got 3 fun ones.
Right.
So Dalvin Cook's in a class of his own. Like, he's actually probably still legitimately decent.
Yes.
Breece Hall, not going to play a lot the first 6 weeks of the season. After that, probably going to get the handcuffs taken off. Going to get to play a little more. I'm not going to be as worried about the re-injury to the ACL. So Dalvin, I'm just kind of, he's going to be A.J. Dillon, but way better in role.
Okay.
Zeke, Lenny, and Kareem. Who is going to ruin someone's fantasy season?
It's hard to think of, because here's my opinion. Zeke's tired. Zeke's been tired. Like, he's the type of guy that he's not going to take a whole lot of carries away from somebody, but he's also going to probably be a goal line guy. So he's going to be a guy that might not even rush for 200 yards, but I could see an 8-touchdown season, depending on the team he lands on. They're just going to use him as a body shield to protect a young running back, but in a bad way for fantasy. Now, here's what I'm seeing is it's sounding like Zeke to New England's cooking, right?
Yeah, he would actually be a huge blow, I think, to Mondre.
I don't think so. I think Ramondre,
you think he's better. I think you think this offense is going to be better than it really is.
He's a catch guy, and they still don't have any good wide receivers, and he's a out of the backfield catch guy.
Ty Montgomery's there still. I swear to God, Ty Montgomery. You don't want to hear that whispered. You don't want to hear that. Ty Montgomery.
No, you also told me Gio Bernard was going to be a thing, and I didn't.
Yeah, in Tampa Bay with Brady, and he should have fucking been. Okay, so I don't think Leonard Fournette probably plays this year, unless there's some weird funky injury. I think like Latavius Murray type. He'll be like Latavius Murray for a couple years. Kareem Hunt, if he goes to Kansas City or Washington, huge threat. If he goes to Tampa Bay, decent threat. I don't like him anywhere else. I just don't think he plays much anywhere else. He's like clearly lost some speed. I think Zeke's the only one that could ruin value because he is still such a good pass protector. He is a good goal line back. I don't think he's absolutely washed. He's not what he was, but he's not washed. He's a tier below Dalvin. So Zeke would be the value buster that would be like the worst on the team that I would have. But not really worried about any of these. Honestly, if none of them played this year, I wouldn't be shocked.
I think Dalvin will end up somewhere, but if he thinks he's going to go out and get paid more than Saquon Barkley, it's probably not going to happen. Because I think that's what I heard roughly he wants is 12 to 14, I think was the number I saw.
Yep, Saquon.
Not going to happen. Just really, I mean, and I think that's probably his disconnect with Miami is they were probably like, we'll give you like 7, which is a lot for a running back.
Twice as much as Gus Edwards' money.
Yeah, I mean that's great money, and he's probably like, well, you know, I was making 16, 14, whatever, and so I'm gonna need to make 13 or 14. They're like, nah, you know what? Leonard Fournette, like I know he had the visit with New England, but I just don't see him ending up anywhere. I think he's the odd man out. I think I could see all of the rest of them maybe playing this year on 1-year deals, filling in for injured guys, but I think Fournette's the odd man out, and it was weird because, you know, I had him in Dynasty last year, and through 5 or 6 weeks, he was a running back 5 on the year, and I fucking had that feeling. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of this, and I did. And it's just gone exponentially bad for him since then. So I don't know, man. I mean, maybe he keeps it in Florida, does the trifecta, and signs in Miami, and you know,
Doesn't play.
Doesn't do it. Like has a Melvin Gordon type of role, like he did on the Chiefs. You know.
Yep. All righty, man. Well, we will be back this weekend. Consistent episodes. Name of the game.